Good day everyone and welcome back to SCP Illustrated, entry log 95. Today we're going back to SCP-096 in another cross-testing experiment, this time with SCP-049. This was co-written by myself and Dr Cimmerian. As always, please go and check out his channel for more SCP content. The guy works extremely hard and has a lot of helpful insight into SCP matters. Now, this is an SCP-096 video, so you can expect some scenes of injury and blood. Without any further ado, and with that aside, let's begin. The following data release has been authorised by the following council members and administration staff. Cross-testing SCP-049, SCP-096. After-test report.
At this time, it is impossible to know or even guess as to what SCP-049 did to SCP-096. SCP-049 has refused to give any further information on the matter, except for corroborating what we monitored on the infrared. The syringe was not recovered and no traces of the injected material were present in SCP-096's blood. However, the security team noted a faint scent of lavender was present. Blood tests are ongoing. Save for the momentary irregularity in SCP-096's behaviour after the encounter, no other abnormalities have been observed.
It wasn't new, mind you, but it hurt just the same. A small child sat at the base of a tree surrounded by hundreds of laughing, pointing children. The child's face was buried in its hands and its body bunched up with the knees held close to the chest. The small child rocked backwards and forwards against the trunk. The tree itself was oily black, with thousands of branches reaching far up into the bone-white sky. The tips of the branches pierced the pale white veil, and small drops of blood leaked down to the base of the tree. The roots happily drank up the blood as soon as it touched the ground. Still, the children laughed. Then there was a sudden change. In the distance, someone new was approaching. Someone else to judge him. Someone else to laugh. The child looked up at the approaching pair of eyes, hidden behind a mask. The children, the tree, and the bloodied sky all fell away. They were both in a cold, white containment cell. The creature that used to be a child rocked in the corner, sobbing to itself and shaking. It was all bones and skin with little muscle under the pale flesh that covered its body. The man who had just entered was shackled. The chains that bound him continued back into a hole in the door itself. Suddenly, a red light beat on the side of the neck shackle, and all of the chains fell to the ground. The chains were pulled back into the door, and SCP-049 looked down at SCP-096. Its soft cries reverberated off the walls around the doctor, all loneliness and pain. The doctor walked over to the monster and laid a hand on the top of its head. It stopped crying, and its breathing slowed. The doctor looked perplexed, as if he'd expected another reaction. The doctor, however, recovered quickly and looked down at the creature while stroking the top of its head.
Child, you do not have to fear me. I am here to help you. Please, let me see.
With his free hand, the doctor moved its hands from its face, and then moved his hand to its forehead. The thing let out a mournful cry.
I cannot save you.
Fresh tears began to stream down the pale creature's cheeks.
But I can help you.
With this, the doctor pulled a bag from his robes and produced a syringe.
You'll feel a slight pinch, but it's nothing to fear. Trust me.
The sounds of shouting and metallic locks turning echoed from the containment cell door. He allowed the creature's head to go limp as he gripped its arm and positioned the syringe right on top of the median basilic vein. With a slight application of pressure, the syringe slipped into the vein to deliver the medicine. Suddenly, they were both beneath the tree. The laughing children were gone. Hanging from the oily black tree's branches were hundreds, maybe thousands of mirror shards. Each one had a reflection of his own eyes, all staring at a single crying child. SCP-049 walked forward on ground covered in ankle-deep water. The slow drip of red into the water left clouds of pink behind, swirling as he stepped forward. The child's crying grew louder and more intense. The doctor reflected on his own life. Curing the great pestilence was his grand purpose, but here was someone suffering. Was he not a doctor? Was this not his higher calling? And as he drew closer to the child, he noticed it was covered in shallow cuts, with blood leaking out all across its body. He reached into his bag for something to staunch the flow when the child's head suddenly snapped up to look directly at him. The child's eyes were red and swollen, as if he'd been crying for hours. The child slowly stood up, its sobbing still the only sound outside of the dripping blood from the tree branches above. Then, as if a dam had broken, it sprinted at the doctor with its arms outstretched. For a moment, the doctor was taken aback, and then the child ran into him at full force. It rocked him in place. The child embraced him and sobbed into his robes. The doctor shook his head and tried his best to comfort him. In the White Room, the plague doctor sat down with the creature until the security forces dragged him away. For a little while, it rested. For just a little while, it was content. For just a little while, it was loved. Somehow, it cried even harder. And that concludes this encounter with the Plague Doctor. I hope you liked it, and be sure to like and subscribe if you did. If you haven't seen them already, there are a few more entries into this ongoing series of SCP-096 cross-tests. You can find a full playlist on the channel homepage. Again, massive thanks to Dr Cimmerian for his help in writing this, and the Volgan for voicing his iconic SCP-049 role. You can find links to both their channels below. Next time, seeing as we're already visiting the Plague Doctor, I'm going to cover the updated SCP-049 file. The file has undergone a lot of changes since I last covered it, and I'm super excited to cover it again with all the new additions. Be sure to follow all the social media outlets for video updates. You can find posters and prints on the SCP Illustrated shop, just follow the links. And if you don't want to wait days and weeks for new material, then consider joining the Patreon. You get early video access, see all the sketches early, request your own sketches, request your own SCPs, Discord access, and so much more. And thank you to Sanchez, Noah Lopez, Ryan, Crazy Potato, Josh, Hithel, Exalted Galaxy, Dragon, Andy, Jet E-Boy, Generals Alert, JT Walker, SCP-106A, Rick Trexon, Mori Pasta Pizza, and Sam B. Big thanks to Harrison, Lenhox, Captain Core, Kibara, and Montgomery. And huge thanks to Dr. Vulis, Kamana, and Zanan. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all soon. Take care.